Hi, everybody. We're joined by Nicole Sorice and Flab Abermans from AMP Agency. How are you guys?
Good.
Cool. So AMP is a large agency that does sort of client projects for typically for large clients. Could you guys tell me just a bit about AMP itself?
Sure. So we're a full service marketing agency. We have offices in Boston, New York, and Los Angeles. And we work with a variety of clients in a bunch of different ways, ranging from video creation, digital, creative, experiential, media planning, buying, kind of run the gamut in a ton of different ways.
Yeah, gotcha. And about a month ago, maybe a little bit less, you guys contacted us with a project that had a pretty tight turnaround time. Could you guys tell us a bit about that?
Sure. So one of our clients in condoms was looking to create or recreate a promotion that they'd done in another country at a global level, where users could create their own versions of our ad, basically. And we had a pretty quick turnaround from them to get it done in like 2 or 3 days. And we heard that you guys were really great to work with through John Bishop, actually our director of creative technology, had recommended you guys. And we reached out and were able to get the project done very fast.
Yeah, we're very impressed.
Yeah. So could you tell us, I guess maybe what might be easiest is to walk us through the finished product and just sort of show us how the whole thing works. Do you guys want to start a screen share if that works?
Sure. So this is the landing page where the user was driven to based on or from social posts, some emails that we blasted out, and is basically promoting, you can see here, promoting a contest that we had running. So we activated at the Life is Beautiful Festival in Las Vegas. And as part of that, we had 2 VIP tickets to give away. So that's what we were promoting, and we're hoping that people would submit their photo entries for a chance to win. At a higher level, this promotion is in partnership with Movember. Skin is an official partner of Movember this year. So you'll see some Movember branding on here as well. And then below, a couple of examples of the creative. So just to kind of give people an example of what they would be creating.
Yeah, kind of some inspiration.
Yeah. And then as you scroll down the page, you have a call out here that would take you to a gallery, which is where all of the photos were housed. But first, if the user wanted to create their own version of the ad, they would type in, they'd fill out their name, their email. They had to be 18 years of age or older to participate, and then they had the option to opt in to receive more communications from the brand. And they click the Get Started button. And that brought them to this screen where they would have the ability to choose their own image to upload. And let's see if I have any good pictures to use. And then they would upload their photo. And then they had the option to enter in their own inspiration. So I like, and then whatever they wanted to say. So what do we like? I like getting lost in and then you would submit. This is when we did escape the room. And then that was their entry. So they had a confirmation page that said, thank you for entering, let them know when a winner would be selected. And then we also drove them to Movember.com so that they could learn a little bit more about the cause. And then they also had the option to share out to their social channels or via email. And then from a consumer side, they also were able to view all of the entries on this gallery page. So you can kind of see a bunch of images. Some of these are actually from our activation that we had on site at the festival. So we were able to upload these in after, but this is where all of the photos are housed. But from that was basically how the consumer experience functioned, yeah.
Yeah, and then we ended up
and then
winner and sent them off.
go ahead. Yeah, I wanted to ask about that actually. You guys just picked the winner sort of out of the first few hundred submissions, and that person must have been pretty happy.
Yeah, we actually picked it based on, originally we were going to do it randomly, and then we picked the one that we liked the best. Yeah. Sorry about these emails. So yeah, we were able to pick a winner, and him and his girlfriend had all of their travel accommodations
Everything
paid for, and they had a great time at the festival. So
that's cool. Great, guys. Yeah, so that basically is how it works. There's a little bit more on the backend interface that maybe is not worth sharing. So yeah, thank you guys. So that was the project. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say the one thing I think to note from our end is that we also were able to approve or reject images as they came in. So we had a screen in the back of WordPress where we were able to see all of the entries, and we could see which ones were approved, which ones were still pending, and which ones had been rejected, because as you can imagine, it's a pretty sensitive category. Yeah. So we want to make sure that we're only approving images that are appropriate. Which
people got paid.
Yeah, some people get creative. So that was important for us to have. And we were able to do that pretty easily. So.
Right. Yeah, that I agreed. And then just for the curious, the way we ended up doing this from a data standpoint is registering what's a custom post type called submissions that took all the data that people entered in that form you guys showed us. So, whether they agreed to the terms of service, their name, their email, and then the actual caption, the lines of the caption itself. And then we had to use this. The trickiest part was using this JavaScript library to actually essentially take a snapshot of the photo with the caption after the person had created it. That turned out to be sort of the most complexity on the project, because there's a lot of ways that, especially on mobile devices and stuff, that taking a snapshot of a piece of a page is rather difficult. But once we got that snapshot, we set that to be the featured image of each submission entry. And then whether it was pending, approved, or rejected was again part of the data associated with that individual submission post. So that's how we did it on the data side. Yeah, so that was a project. So thank you guys for showing me around and us around in that. Could you talk a little bit about just sort of what the project was like to work with, and some of the sort of some of the details of kind of what you guys needed and timelines, and just how the whole experience was for you in a general way?
Yeah. I think overall the experience was really good. We had a very short timeline, I know, as we mentioned before. Yeah, so everything kicked off really quickly, and I think we had a ton of check-ins as we went, maybe one or two more than we really ended up needing, but I think because we worked on such a quick timeline,
it's like a week's worth of meetings piled
into like 2 days. Yeah, so we had to kind of just have constant communication to make sure that it all got done on time, and I think we were only like 4 hours behind our original deadline, which is huge. So that was great.
For sure. Yeah, I think we were just impressed by the turnaround overall, because it was definitely more than like building a simple web page. There was a lot on the back end that was a little bit more complicated than like whatever it could have been. But I think all things considered, we're pretty happy with it, especially in 2 days.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so this of all projects I've ever done, this was just sort of like kind of opting into a couple of all-nighters, and yeah, it was a really interesting experience. My understanding is that basically the partnership between the client Skin and Movember happened sort of late enough that their decision making was kind of late, and that's why this all came down the pike with only a couple of days to go. Is that accurate?
The partnership with Life is Beautiful in Movember, because we've been a partner of Skin for a little while now. We've been doing quite a bit of work for them. But then when Life is Beautiful opted in to partner with Movember thought of us because that would be a good activation among the rest of their partners, because they partner with like alcohol and a bunch of other brands you can't really just give away at a festival. So it made sense to come to us.
Yeah. I think the demographic too of the person that's going to the festival makes sense because it aligns back to our demo for Skin. So it was just kind of late. We didn't have a ton of time to plan for the event in general, and since this was a component of that, it kind of fell into the quick turnaround time for everything.
Yeah. You know, in college, I used to love to sort of like hold 3 all-nighters in a row and be like, here, okay, now I have to sleep for a week. And I don't know, this was that again, and there's still something I like about it. Although I think I'm not as good at it as I was, because I guess being younger, kind of it makes you resilient to that kind of stuff. And I was doing this again, and I was like, oh, this is probably going to be fine. And like, and there were signs that's like, oh, you can't really do this anymore. Like, if you try to do this, like, you start to die now. Like, you know? So that was actually kind of like a learning thing for me. It was really funny. Okay, well, yeah. I mean, anything in that? Thank you for the general sort of summary. Anything in particular you remember kind of, enjoying about the experience? And then the next question is sort of any kind of challenges that came up and things that were more sort of difficult about the project that might be helpful to talk about.
We were glad it got done.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I think our biggest concern was whether or not we could make it happen in such a short period of time. And I think we're really happy with the end result because it did really mimic what was done at a global level, which is really what we wanted to do. And I think one of the things that we didn't necessarily think about at the time, but now that activation is over, is the fact that we can kind of reuse this moving forward. So we can come up with new prizes, and we can continually have people upload their photos and just kind of build out the gallery, which I think is really great.
For sure.
So we can keep using it, which is even better.
Condom giveaways doesn't have to be like that big of a prize. There's just so many more options. It's a very versatile thing.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah. How about, I mean, obviously the time itself, but anything any maybe feedback you have for us in terms of how we did approach the project and the time we had?
Yeah, I think maybe there were 1 or 2 examples of things we had talked about wanting to do, and then at the end of the day, really just didn't have the time to implement them. Yeah, like I think the photo cropping was an example of something that we all kind of wanted to do, but at the end of the day, just based on priority, it wasn't a priority, so we cut that out. And I think, I mean, it's understandable based on how little time we really did have to complete this, that we would have to prioritize. I think in an ideal world, we would have had a week or 2 weeks to create this, and that would have been great, and we would have been able to get everything in. But just based on priority, we kind of had to cut some things out.
Yeah, I guess almost knowing that we wouldn't be able to do that earlier on would have been a little better, but it's totally understandable that we didn't, because it was 2 days. I mean, yeah, if it was like a week-long project and on day 6 you were like, oh, we can't do this, that would have been a bit more problematic.
But it was like hour 32 of 40.
Exactly.
So.
It ended up being
yeah, like no one needs to crop their photo. It's fine.
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
They'll crop it in.
Absolutely.
Works for everybody.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Yeah. So as you guys mentioned, we originally were really excited about this thing that would let people sort of pan and zoom their photo and then take a little region of it. And but we just ended up going with WordPress's default crop because we could not make it work on mobile, on on every device we tried, across devices, we couldn't make it work in a way that we were like, this is actually going to be any good. Yeah, that makes sense for sure. Yeah, I know it was sort of like hour 1, we're like, we think we can make this work, and then like as you said, hour 30, we're like, this little piece is not happening.
Totally.
That's right.
It's the kind of thing, like, in a perfect world, this would have been a different project because it would have started weeks ago.
Right.
But with what we had, and I think we came up with a really good product.
Agreed.
Yeah, great. Well, guys, thank you for taking the time to just sort of talk through this. Is there anything that you'd like to say about the project or our work in general, or anything before we close?
I think we're just really happy with the end result, and would definitely consider you guys for future projects as they come up.
Yeah, I think people really enjoyed using the platform and making their own ads. We definitely got probably twice the submissions that we could approve. But always good to get them. And
that makes sense.
Send them through as we see fit.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, guys. Well, Nicole and Vlad, thank you for talking with me, and really good to work with you guys, and really good to talk to you guys as well.
Yeah, thank
Thanks.
you.
You too.